Okay, so this is it. This is the last video you ever watch on how to walk your dog nicely on a lead. Let's go. Okay, so this is Murphy. This is literally our first walk ever, and I can't stand it already. So, slip lead's gonna go on. Come here, bud. Good boy. Now, this guy has been on a slip lead before, but he's just not been shown how to use one properly or how to understand one properly. So teaching your dog to walk on a loose lead is the most important thing that you can possibly do with your dog, and it's the absolute first thing that I do with all of the dogs that come and stay with me for residential training. As you can imagine, I need to spend every day with this guy. I need to get him into the van, I need to take him to the toilet, I need to take him just out in general, and if he's pulling me like he was just pulling me there, that is going to be an absolute nightmare, and my hands are already in so much pain from just that little bit that he's just pulled me over here. So I'm going to sort it out right this second. So yeah, I'm going to show you guys exactly how I do that. We're going to use lots of food, and we're going to use this slip lead. Good boy. And yeah, let's go. I'll show you. It's super easy process. Right, so you can literally do this with any collar, lead, whatever you want. Obviously there's going to be certain collars and lead setups that are going to be more effective depending on the dog that you have, but generally it's the same process. So all I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be walking backwards, and there's a reason why I'm going to be walking backwards. The reason for me walking backwards is so it makes it very easy for the dog to understand that what I want them to do is follow me. All I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be walking backwards, and I'm going to pull the lead, and when he follows me, I'm going to feed him. Then I'm going to go round in circles. If I don't have to use the lead, perfect. If he's just going to follow me as he is and take food, that's absolutely perfect, and I love it. If you have a food motivated dog, all you've got to do is walk backwards. When they follow you like Murphy is, you're going to reward them every single time. Good. This way. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. As you can see there, he's going to check out if I don't give him food straight away. So I'm going to walk around and he's going to check out from me, and then I'm going to use the lead to grab his attention, and again, and keep moving until I get his attention. There we go. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to give the dog an incentive to follow you initially. So the incentive here is that I have food. So if you follow me, you will get food. And what I'm rewarding him for is just movement towards me. So if I move this way and he moves towards me, yes, that's good. I'm going to pay it. If I move this way now and I don't pay him, he's going to get bored and he's probably going to check out when he realizes that there's no food like there, and then I'll give him lead and then pay him for following the lead. At this point, you're doing two things. You're teaching the dog to follow you, and you're also teaching the dog that when you feel lead pressure, it means that you have to pay attention to the handler. They want something for you, or they've got something for you. Later on in the process, we can then use the lead to administer small corrections to let the dog know when they're going off track, but we're not quite there yet. Initially, all you are doing when you're teaching a dog to walk on a loose lead is teaching them how to follow you. So forget about heel, forget about your dog walking by your side. That is the end product. This is where it starts. Your dog needs to learn how to follow you first. When they know how to follow you, you can then teach them heel. You can give it a name, you can make it all formal and fancy. But if your dog doesn't know how to follow you, your dog isn't going to learn how to heel. So then you follow, good boy, yes. So Murphy is a strong puller, so obviously to grab his attention, I'm going to have to be a little bit more firm on this slip lead than I would on another dog that was a little bit more sensitive. I've just handled him and he's been pulling like an absolute freight train through his flat collar, so I would assume that he's going to be a little bit insensitive around his neck area. So to compensate for that, I need to be a little bit firm. But if you have a sensitive dog, if you have a dog that, you know, you put the slip lead on them for the first time and they start freaking out, you have to be super gentle with that dog. You have to judge it on the dog that you have. You shouldn't be having to use the slip lead really firmly if you have a sensitive dog. The only reason why I'm being a little bit firm with Murphy here is because he is a bit of a headstrong dog and he needs a little bit more of a firm hand to grab his attention. Right, so once you've got the dog following you and you're walking backwards and they're paying attention to your movement and they're moving with you a little bit, Basically, all you're gonna do now is you're just gonna turn your hips and walk forwards again. So you'll draw the dog backwards like this, and then you turn sideways. And now you're in the position that you're gonna be in when it becomes the end product. So we're getting closer to the end right now. So all you do now is you do the same process of moving and turning and giving the dog a little bit of pressure. And when they follow, you just reward them straight away. So at this point, remember what you're rewarding. You're rewarding the dogs following you. So the second that you move and the dog moves with you, that indicates that the dog is following you, so you should reward that. At the start of this process, like with any process with a dog, you have to be rewarding them frequently at the start, and then when you've got it down and the dog's loving what you're teaching them and they're getting really good at it, and you're not having to cue them too much with any lead pressure, verbal or body language, that's when you can start rewarding a little bit less frequently. But at the start, you want to be having a high frequency of reward, so the dog is then very incentivized to do what you're trying to show them. So now I'm just going to be rewarding down by my side. Good boy. And now we're walking. This is close to what we want. Good boy. So this is the point now where you're trying to catch the dog out. So you're going to turn suddenly. If they turn with you, you're going to reward. If they turn too slowly, you're going to give pressure to cue them to turn, like there. And then I'll turn again. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show him that when I turn, you're supposed to turn with me. So initially, what you'll probably have to do with your dog is force the turn by, as you turn, pressure straight away. Pressure straight away. Now I'm not going to give pressure. Yes. So when you're trying to teach a dog to walk nicely on the lead, there really is only a couple of things to focus on. It is turn when I turn, stop when I stop, speed up when I speed up, and slow down when I slow down. If your dog can learn all of those things, then they know how to walk on a loose lead. And to teach a dog to stop when you stop is actually very, very simple. The first couple of repetitions, you have to stop the dog first. So what you want to do is you want to pull the dog backwards. So whenever you're training a dog and you're going to give them backward pressure, you want to try and make sure that your lead is as parallel to the ground as you can. So it's going to be parallel to their spine and parallel to the ground. So you've got a flat line going from your hand back to the dog's collar. If you've got a really small dog, this is super, super important. So what you will have to do with a small dog is you will have to bend down a little bit to create that parallel line. Otherwise, what you're going to be doing is creating a diagonal line upwards. And when you start pulling the lead backwards, you're going to start lifting your dog's feet up off the ground. And you really don't want to be doing that with your little dogs. Also important to remember that the pressure that you're giving the dog in this moment doesn't need to be very much. It just needs to be enough to slow the dog down or stop the dog. So with Murphy here, we're going to walk forwards. So we're going to walk a few steps. I'm going to stop him, and then I'm going to stop. It almost looks like we did it simultaneously, but I did stop him first, and then as soon as I felt that pressure go down the lead, I have stopped as well. So that does two things. That cues him with a bit of pressure, then he also sees that I've stopped, which then helps him to understand that that pressure means stop. But then what we'll do is we'll do that a couple of times in a row. So I'll stop him, and then I'll stop, and then I'll move again, and I'll stop him, and then I'll stop, and then I'll move again. And now I'll just stop, and he will stop with me. Good boy. We'll do that again, get him on this side. And then what you should have is a dog that's a little bit more aware of when you stop. Like that, good boy. And nothing there has happened other than me just being very clear that when I stop, you need to stop. And then pretty much the only thing that's left to do is just to put all of that stuff together. So it's the turn and the stop, and then the walking at your pace is kind of just like a byproduct of those two things. Good. Yes. You'll notice that when I'm walking him, I'm using the lead in my right hand and it's going across my body, and you'll see that my hand's quite high up. This is something that I do only in training when I'm teaching the dog to walk nicely on the lead, and the reason for that is that it frees up my left hand to feed the dog. If I was teaching the dog to walk on my right hand side, I would do it with my left hand and it would go across to my right hand side so I could feed with my right hand. But at this point, I'm holding it in my right hand and I'm just letting it go straight across my body and onto Murphy here. The reason why I've got my hand up is so that I can respond really quickly with lead pressure. If my hand's all the way down here and he falls out of line, I won't have enough tension to communicate with him at all. So I'm keeping my hand up, but when I keep my hand up, I'm making sure that there is no tension running through the line. So when he walks by my side, he's walking by my side under no pressure whatsoever, because the name of this game is that the dog learns to walk by your side because they want to, not because they're being forced to. So what I'm not doing is pulling up on this lead and holding him by my side as I walk around. That isn't very productive, and it doesn't teach the dog to walk next to you. Cool, so I'm gonna walk him back to the training center, and we're gonna see how he's gonna walk for me on the way back, but let's see how it goes. Good boy. So you absolutely have to teach your dog to walk on a loose lead, and as I've just shown you there, it is really not very hard. You just have to take the time, make it super simple for the dog. Start off face to face, slowly then make it this side-by-side thing. Loads of rewards, loads of positive reinforcement. Use the lead, but only when you need to use it, and you should be absolutely sweet. I hope this has helped you guys. I'll see you in a bit.